Annelise, to American politics now. When Donald Trump was president and the coronavirus was raging almost out of control, the mainstream media cast Trump as the villain, of course, but to set him off really nicely as the villain, they put Andrew Cuomo, the Democrat governor of New York, as the hero of the pandemic response, even though New York had the highest death toll of any state in the US, still does. In fact, Cuomo, they even gave him an Emmy Award for the best press conference in allegedly dealing with the virus. Here he is.
What an honor and pleasant surprise during these hard times. I thank the International Academy and Bruce Paisner for this incredible award. Thank you to all the members of the Academy.
Annelise, now that Trump is gone, the truth can finally be told about Cuomo, at least by the mainstream media. What has that media discovered?
Well, it's been a fairly shocking decline for Andrew Cuomo. You're right, he really was the hero at the outset. New York was always set to be one of the worst hit places in the US, considering how dense the population is, how transient it is with so many people coming through. It was always going to be very high risk. And Cuomo was seen as being the right person to handle a crisis. He was decisive, he was aggressive, so he was going to get out in front of it, and he was going to lead New Yorkers in a way that they felt confident about. And he regularly fronted the media, making sure that he answered all their questions, and so there was that overwhelming support for him. But now there's two crises that are really threatening to end his career. The first is over his handling of the retirement homes, or nursing homes, I should say, in New York. Now, the original policy was that they were having issues with hospital capacity, and so what they were doing was shuffling COVID patients into nursing homes. This is at the same time that they knew that nursing home residents would be one of the highest risk populations in the country, given that they're elderly and already facing their own health issues by being in a nursing home. And so this was a controversial policy. It wasn't well mandated in that they didn't explain it quite clearly to nursing homes that they could have said no if they didn't feel like they had the capacity. At the same time, they were really exerting pressure on them because they felt like they had no other option. Now, after that, there was coming out that this was actually a policy. Families had their loved ones dying of COVID-19. And then the reporting of the actual figures came out, and that's when it was a really long, drawn-out process to find out that they were drastically under-reporting the figures. They were only saying that those people who died in nursing homes had died of COVID if they died in hospital and had had a positive test in that setting. That under-reported the deaths in nursing homes by up to 50%, which is significant. Now, one of the other issues that came out of this whole thing was the idea of liability, because we know how litigious it can get in the United States. What they found was that Cuomo's administration had snuck in a clause into the budget papers that exonerated any kind of liability from nursing homes for any deaths related to COVID-19. Now, they've said it was kind of a Good Samaritan clause to make sure that they were providing that care. They weren't going to deny people care that they needed, but it also means that these families have no recourse for any kind of negligent care that their family members received from being in a nursing home and contracting COVID-19 in that way through no choice or ability to manoeuvre out of it on their own. Now, this is all quite bad. It all accumulated in quite a political storm for Cuomo, and he eventually did actually apologise for it, which was very unlike him. Now he's facing these other crises of women who've worked for him coming forward, saying that he sexually harassed them. There's three main complainants, one of which has said that on a private flight he suggested that they play strip poker and made her feel very uncomfortable. Another said that he had really uncomfortable advances towards her, asking her about her personal life, things we probably can't even discuss on television, that they're that sensitive. But also now another woman's come forward and said that he aggressively tried to kiss her in front of a crowd as a joke at a wedding, and she felt incredibly uncomfortable. These stories are all adding up. There's now judicial inquiries into it, and senior Democrats, even at a federal level, saying that they need to step aside, that Cuomo needs to step aside, which means it really is starting to come down on him to bear. And it's a pretty extraordinary turnaround in a single year to go from the hero of the pandemic to now looking like he could lose his job.
I bet he should return that statue he got too, that little trophy for being the best performer on TV. Just goes to show, Annelise, you know, you can give good press conferences, but you've got to look behind the scenes. Maybe a lesson for Daniel Andrews as well. Annelise Nielsen, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you.